Now that said, there's a much larger trade going on here that could happen. Hey everybody, hope you had a great trading day. So the first one we're going to start with is LXU. We're going to be hyper focused on what's happening out there. It's becoming increasingly clear that this war is going to be going around for some time. So to start with, I really want to focus on these agricultural chemical stocks. We're going to see 5 different names tonight that are not really just in that space, but are in the space of what's going on. And also we're going to see some recession names that we might want to look at tomorrow. So 24.93. You broke out. This is pretty clean. You can easily get up to this level from there. It could actually happen in a day, quite frankly. This has been basing for some time. This is a nice cut, and now it's a nice breakout. See how you responded to that 21 day? That's pretty powerful stuff. So look at this, and you can just see, you can go right to the top of this nasty red bar right here, 28.39. Flip that, and then it can get you up to here, and then you're looking at like a 32 handle. It's very possible, and it's very possible in a short period of time. We're going to start having more and more issues the longer this goes on, and these types of chemical companies and agricultural companies are going to benefit greatly. If you've been following for some time, and I'd recommend you subscribe, you've been in MOS, you've seen this trade, we've been in this one in and out. You've seen this NTR. So this whole space is on fire, but I subscribe to the channel, click all notifications, because I also put out private videos. I want to touch on this one from yesterday, BRCC, Black Rifle Coffee. So this was one that we also added again in the trading room. And here, let me just take off these indicators because you really don't need them. I mean, this is pretty textbook stuff, right? You gap open, you touch below, you rip, and you go. It's basically just a gap and go over a resistance line. It's not rocket science. So when you see something like this, really what you want to focus on is you just kind of want to take a look and see what your volume is during that period of time. Now, if we take a look at it and go, okay, well, this is what we did off the open. That's above average volume off the 20 line. So that's pretty decent. Then you could see how we responded. This was a very clear trade for us, 29.20. When we hit that level, it became increasingly clear there was going to be some resistance. And we just said, hey, there's a top here. And if you're looking for the short-term trade, take it. Now, that said, there's a much larger trade going on here that could happen. Now, again, if you've been following for some time, you've seen this trade with UPST, and they just rock it. So when you have an upper channel like this and you break that upper channel, the stock can go parabolic. This has that kind of potential to do that. Everybody is leaning this way. If you watch that top 10 stocks to buy video for April, you'll see that there's a current theme going on. This is part of that theme, 29.45, and you can see us break out and go higher. So I like this, but just know that this is there, but if you break 29.45, this can push. Now, Costco, this whole sector is on fire and we're starting to see it move, but you're going to start seeing the buying in bulk, and we're seeing that today, right? We're seeing people starting to understand when we start to see signs that there could be a possible recession. We had 4 Fed speakers today, scare the bejesus out of everybody. So you're starting to see things like that happen and people starting to understand what the Fed's actually planning on doing with the economic cycle. This is going to lead to slower GDP growth, and based upon that, you're going to start seeing people wanting to buy in bulk and save their money. So these kinds of names really start to move in this kind of environment. If you look at this over a monthly chart, there's not much to say here. It's just been an absolute monster, and now it's hitting the swing. These kinds of stocks perform very well when you're going into a decreased GDP or recessionary period. All we're looking tomorrow is for a simple trade. 6, 12, 14, we're looking for this to flip over and go. Now, this is going to kind of be a little difficult because you don't really want to use this as a stop, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to drill into a multiple time frame, and we're going to see if we could find something else. And what you could use is you could use this bullish engulfing that's right here, and you could use that level right there, 604.63 as your stop, and then work it up as the day goes on. So sometimes when you look at a stop and it's too far away, best thing to do is go to a different time frame, especially if you're trying to stay in it. Nothing less than 15 minutes, but you'll see that that tends to work. Now, if you've been following us for some time, I say us, me, if you'll notice that we've been in this on and off since about $4, 480, I think was the first time it hit those top 10 lists. And that's what I'm saying. You want to make a list of the names that you like that are in here and cycle through them because they keep setting up, right? How this set up right here and then broke it higher. So here we are again. Why is this going up? Well, we were estimating that they were going to come out with $1. They're going to come out with a $1.08 dividend. If you do the math right now, that would mean that from yesterday's close, it would annualize at roughly 26%. That's not a bad dividend. Now, that's if just oil stays exactly where it is. We all know that oil will probably go higher the longer that this war goes on. I will point this out again for those that are new. These are the big levels that I'm looking at: 28.21, 33, 37 and a quarter. If you remember the statement I said about 2003, this is really when you had a paradigm shift in how energy was working. And this was the last paradigm shift, and this is what's happened. And people are not catching on to this yet. So I think this has massive potential. During 2003, you had the upset in the Middle East of how oil was distributed and who bought from whom. You're seeing the exact same thing with Axis powers being created, right? You're seeing India align with Russia, China align with Russia, and saying, yes, we are going to buy their oil. You're even seeing Israel have some relations with them and not put themselves in a position where they're going to sanction them. So it's a very interesting time, and as that happens, you're going to see displacement. What displacement means: higher prices, because all the routes change, the production changes from all over the world. So there's a lot of factors, a myriad of them, and I'm not an expert in energy, but I can tell you that this is something that we have not seen since back here, and it led to an absolute huge multi-year move. And I personally think this is just beginning. So I think that with the whole space. Now, I like this BTU. They're coming out and saying that they're going to ban coal, then they're saying they're not going to ban coal. Look, all I'm going to tell you to do is look at price. I am not crazy about this on the volume side, and we're going to go over more volume issues coming up. But this was brought to my attention. That's why I like the comment so much, and I like when you comment, because this wasn't on my radar because it was just so thin. But you see this line right here? Look at where you closed finally. So bonk, 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 but look where we closed. All right, we're ready to go. So if you flip this tomorrow and you flip this level, this is finally going to go, like really go, after basing for about a month and a half. And you're looking right around that 27, 25 level. I think this is very possible. Now, if we look at energy and we focus on what's going on out there, we've talked yesterday about this and we said this looks tired, and to watch it. So they pulled a little bit of the flim flam today. They broke us down and then they rallied us back up on a hammer, and they kept us in this wedge line and they kept us above these levels. I would still point out that you are below this wedge line on energy. We're going to get to some of the other sectors that are breaking down as well. And notice that the volume's going away. So even though I'm up today, I need to be cautious on those two I just gave you. See what you're at right here? This volume didn't even match that volume. Now take this into account. Okay, semiconductors. We had to pick a direction. I made this pretty clear yesterday. We had to pick a direction. Well, we picked one. And the bottom line is, yes, I understand this is another hammer and another long-legged doji. And what that does is we have more uncertainty. But the bottom line is we made a lower low today. So no matter what we think about this particular bar, we know nothing different because we're sitting right in here. Nothing's changed. Actually, the volume is greater yesterday on the sell side than the buy side. All this was to me was at the end of the day was short covering. I did not see massive call buying going into tomorrow, and we saw weakness at the very end of the day. Now, just so you understand this, weakness between 3:40 to 4 o'clock, that's when they are getting Reg T calls and margin liquidation calls. So as soon as that triggers on the market on close, the forced sales on firms happens. So that's why you see that, where they are forced, then they have to close those positions. And that's why you saw that move today. So that lets you know that that was short covering. If it wasn't, they would have kept going up at the end of the day. So just watch this very closely. I know that's a pretty complex topic I just went over really quickly, but just might want to listen to it a couple times. So you see where you're wedged in here? Nothing's changed. Now, what I can do is I can tell you this. That's where you're at now. So now we've switched to this level versus here. So if we flip that, that could be good and we could push higher. We're still above, we're still below everything. So, it's not great, all those moving averages. This is sitting on the 15 to 21. This had to make a decision. It made it. It broke. We made a lower low. Now, we closed above the 21, we closed above the 50, and that is great. But we need to get above, we need to make a higher high. We need to get above this. If you get above this, you will see buying. You will at least see the gap fill in. Worst thing you want is it to break out and pull back. But I don't think we're going to see that. Now, if you focus on the VIX is just trading sideways, which is okay. We're fine with that. We're not going anywhere. We're just going sideways. The SPY's doing a little bit better in here. And let's just focus on this, right? Here's the low, 44347, 44354. Which one did not hit? Which one body encapsulated the other body? This one, bears or bullish engulfing. So you can see why energy might outperform here and why those other sectors could help lift this up. And let's just talk about this as well. You really want to keep an eye on this. Continue to monitor this. 265, we're going up. We're still going up, and we're probably going to hit that 275 level. That's all I have. Have a great evening, everyone. Trade to win tomorrow.